Hi, Tug Toler here, NAFEM 23, e-source filler, a Paradigm company. I'm here with my friend Wendell. Wendell, say hello and introduce yourself.
How are you guys doing? My name's Wendell Hayes. I'm the Director of Product Management at Frymaster, and really just excited to be here at the show and meet with customers.
All right, so we're standing in front of, these are some electric fryers. We don't just do electric fryers, we have gas fryers, we have tube style, we have open pot. Whatever your application is, we've got it for you. But we're going to be talking a little bit about this guy down here, right?
That's right. We're going to talk about our touchscreen.
Tell us a little bit about it. Kind of even that stat you had said. How many touchscreens do we have?
Yeah, about 35,000 touchscreens fryers that are in service around the world today, right?
That's
We've been doing touchscreens for about 7 years, and touchscreens are really an interesting piece of technology, but the touchscreens themselves aren't special, right?
Right.
It's what are the features that you build into a touchscreen that really make a difference. And what we try to do is spend as much time as we can with our customers in kitchens, seeing how people are using the fryer, and then designing things that work better. I'll give you a couple of examples, right?
Please do.
Before we had connected fryers, we designed automatic filtration fryers. And so our fryers would tell people when it was time to filter them. What we found out after we connected the fryers to the internet was that about half the time they were actually skipping that prompt.
Yeah.
They wouldn't filter even though the fryer would ask them to do it. And we worked with some guys that had some pretty good management teams, and they tried to beat their people into submission to say, we need you to filter the fryers, and they still couldn't move that needle very much. And so we started looking at, well, what are we doing? How do we ask them to filter, and how can we get them to filter more often? And what we found out was that just by being smarter about how we ask them to do it, we got people to filter 90% of the time instead of 50% of the time. The people didn't change. They were the same people.
Right.
We just were smarter about how we did it. So how does that work? The fryer will tell them, okay, it's time to filter. What we're really doing is keeping track of how much food's being cooked, and then we'll ask them to filter after a certain number of baskets. We were asking them as soon as they would finish their last cook. 100% of the time, I've got an employee that's hot food in his hand, and I'm asking him to do something with the fryer.
Right.
That was kind of dumb on our part. It was so dumb that everybody else copied it and did it the same way in the industry, right? When we figured out there was a better way to do it, we built a delay in here, right? So now we're going to give them time to put this food
deal
away.
with that, right.
We're going to give them time to even come back and drop more food if they need to because they're in a hurry. But if the fryer sits there for a period of time and it's not being used, then and only then do we ask them to filter. Okay, so by doing that, we're giving them a better chance. We're asking them when they're not busy.
Right.
The second thing we did, so we made it easier for them to do what they want to do. The other important factor is we want to make it easy for the manager to hold them accountable for doing what they're supposed to be doing. So if I'm the manager on all of the controllers, is there some way I can see if they're doing what they're supposed to? Sure, on the older controllers, you could come in and push a bunch of buttons and enter a code and look at a report, but that's not nearly as effective as I can look at this fryer and know they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
So if they skip a filter, right, I've asked them to filter and they skip it, this little white hand that I've got down here, that white hand is what you would use to go into the filter functions. If you skip a filter, it becomes a yellow hand. If I ask you to filter a second time and you skip it, it becomes a red hand. If a manager walks up and sees 3 fryers and 3 red hands, they know the crew's not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Now they can correct the behavior, right? So by making it easy for crews to do what they're supposed to do, and then making it easy for the managers to hold them accountable for doing what they're doing, we were able to change behavior in the restaurant. And it all started with touchscreens, connectivity, being able to see what's really being used in the fryer, how it's being used, and then going back and saying, how do we get smarter? How do we make it easier for customers to do what they're supposed to be doing? And that's really what touchscreens are all about, right?
So, and it's not that we're trying to say, hey, you need to filter because we want to be jerks and we want you to do this and disrupt. That's money that we're trying to get those operators
For sure,
back. That's the huge thing is filtering is the more you can filter, the more you're going to extend that oil.
Right, so these are low oil volume fryers, right? And they save money on oil. Generally, they'll save somewhere between 25 and 40% on oil versus an old 50-pound fryer. But there's 3 things that make them save money on oil. The first one is that we're just putting less oil in the fryer, right?
Yep.
The second one is that they filter more often, right? We made it easy to filter, we make it automatic. If they filter more often and they keep all that set around the fry pot, it'll help the life of the oil be extended. And then the third one is automatic top off. So the fryer's keeping track of how much oil is in the fryer. When the oil level drops, then we're going to top that off. What's really cool about the low oil volume fryer is when you have oil that's dropped to the low level line and you fill it to the full line, you're putting about 5 or 6 pounds of oil in it, okay? If you were to do that in a 50-pound fryer, you're putting about 10% fresh oil into your used oil.
Right.
In a 30-pound fryer, 5 to 6 pounds of oil is now 20% of fresh oil going into the used oil. So you're doing a better job of diluting the byproducts.
Sure.
And it's the really interesting phenomena that happens. Your highest volume restaurants can save the most money on oil because they have the most replenishment, the most top off. So they're doing a better job of diluting that byproducts and extending the life of the oil.
Perfect.
All
So
right.
one last thing. Did we change anything for serviceability for these? I mean, at some point we're going to have an issue. It's just going to happen.
Yeah,
Life
so
happens.
one of the great things about our touchscreen fryers is they have the ability to be connected to the internet, right?
Okay.
And in our industry, you know that in a lot of cases you have 2 calls every time you have a service call. They have to go out one time, figure out what's wrong with the product, go
Then
get
go
the
back
parts
out.
and come back and fix it, right?
Yep.
If we have the ability to see what's going on in the restaurant, if we have the ability to have connectivity and see error logs, then we start to be able to know what's going on with the fryer before the tech gets there. Now we have a better chance of bringing the right parts and
So
getting it
it's
fixed
a
first on the
first-time
first
fix.
time.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yep.
really, that's one of the serviceability improvements.
Excellent.
Of course, the touchscreen also has other things like our component check-in. If there's a feature where a service tech can hit a code, they can go and open and close valves without having to run through a real filter process.
Right.
They can start testing various components by just pushing a button.